Live. Hey everyone, welcome to the second NEVERNIGHT Liveshow. We're going to see how this one goes. Obviously, last time when we did... Oh my god, that's my noise. Sorry. The last time that we did this, it went very quickly, and I didn't realize how many people would be here and how many things people wanted to ask. So this time I've set it for an hour, so we'll hopefully have enough time to get through everything. Again, I will just remind you there is that super chat option if you have a really pressing question that you really want to know. In case I don't get to it, at least that way, like, it'll pop up and give me like a little notification, so I won't miss it. First of all, yeah, I cut my hair today. I was just bored and thought, let's just age me up a bit, and so I just cut it all off. Feeling great, living better. All right, so I guess we'll give everyone like a few minutes to get here because I think I was like a minute early, which is fine. And then I figured we can talk a bit about episode 1 and what you thought, and then if you have any questions about the rest of the series or episode 2, which you're about to see in an hour, yeah, and we'll just see how it goes. We'll just have like a nice casual chat. So obviously the first episode went live, and I stayed up for about like 25 minutes afterwards because obviously it's midnight here. So I stayed up for about the first 25 minutes afterwards, just kind of watching the reaction, which was like wild. I don't have a better word for it. It was just insane. Like I hoped it would do well, and obviously as a creator, when you put anything out there, you hope that people will like it and people will watch it, and people liked it and they watched it, and it's a really weird concept to kind of come to grips with, especially when you've been working so hard on something for 12 plus months, and like seeing it every single day, so you kind of don't get a second to step back and be like, oh, like we did this, like this is a thing that we did, and it's done and it's good. And so that kind of having the response that we had, having you guys kind of come on and say like, yeah, like this is great, we love it, has been really overwhelming in a good way, like good overwhelming. I mean, I've still got people saying like, how do you feel knowing that it's out? And it still hasn't like fully processed. And I think if you go back to like my early production videos when I'm talking about it, like it still hasn't like fully processed yet. And that's partly because I'm not done with it. Like obviously, yeah, episode 2 and 3 have to come out, but also obviously aiming to get that like TV series going. I feel like I'm going to be working on Nevernight for a very long time. So I've got, I just constantly just Nevernight everywhere, which is not a problem at all. So yeah, it's been good. Obviously some of the crew are seeing it for the first time and some of the cast are seeing it for the first time, and they were really impressed by it and they were really happy with it. And it's just like this whole project wouldn't have been possible without the team that we had and the hard work and dedication that every single person put in on that. And obviously going from like a small scale to where we are, to a big scale or bigger scale is very different. And there's a lot more moving pieces, and just trying to get that all to work was incredible. So obviously like wild. Also, I've got real bad allergies tonight. You'll see my kitten walking back and forth, so I'll have to excuse myself if, as you can see, my nose is getting red and I need to blow it. But okay, so yeah, episode 1, like I said, just huge, overwhelmingly large response. I could check. Oh my god, Artemis, stop. Sorry. So this is your original Mr. Kindly, but I don't know how many views it has at the moment. I don't have the ability to check. I'm going to check on my YouTube channel because all of my stuff is currently set in place, ready to click post. So I don't want to like screw it up or anything. But currently, from what I'm seeing, I can't even see it. 27,000 views, which is wild to me. And out of that, I think there's something like 3.8 thousand likes, which is the last time I saw it, which was a few hours ago, and there was like a handful of dislikes. And if that's the average, that's mind-blowing. If out of 27,000 people or views and only like 38 people dislike it, like, okay, that's cool, that's subjective, I don't mind. Like I don't mind. And we achieved kind of our little goal. Like we were kind of talking within the team saying, if the worst thing people have to say about it is that it was too short and they want more, then that's like the perfect, that's what you want to hear. And that's pretty much the response we've gotten is, we love it, we want more. So hopefully that's the good stuff that people will be aiming to hear in those bigger roles, people who have money, which is the whole thing that we spoke about, I guess, on the live chat. The first time was when I guess we were putting this out. As I said, the goal is obviously to go to a TV, like a broadcaster, like a full, like I say like Game of Thrones HBO level, just to kind of give you the vibe. Don't know if that'll ever happen, but it's worth trying. So yeah, and that kind of the way we kind of get that is obviously making enough noise. And I've noticed lots of people are tagging things like Netflix, like HBO, like Stan, and that's kind of exactly what we want. So please keep doing that. You have my complete approval to keep doing that. And hopefully, yeah, someone someday will go, oh, this is interesting, and people seem to like it. So maybe we will do something about that. What else? Since it came out, there's been a few articles published about it, which have been really exciting and really lovely and really heartwarming to see. I've sent out our EPK, which is our electronic press kit, to like a bunch of different places and people, just trying to like spread that noise of like, oh, here's the project in like a nice little wrapped bundle, which is kind of what you want, sort of thing. I'm going to do a quick check of the comments because I realize it's only been like 5 minutes and I feel like I've said everything I need to say. Okay, bear with me while I scroll. Thank you again for everyone. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, hello. Thank you. I did cut it all off. It's like I feel like I cut like a whole kilo off. I mean, it didn't, but it feels like it. Thank you. Hair, yes, lots of hair. Well, no hair, less hair. I stayed awake to see this. I really appreciate that because I too am like it's like 11 p.m. here and I go to bed by like 8. So it's 11 p.m. here and then I have to get up early in the morning for a hospital scan. So I feel you on that, but we can like suffer together and hopefully it'll be worth it. I watched this episode 4 times in the past hour. Thank you. I so appreciate that. I sent episode 2 to Jay last night. And that's always like my biggest fear is like just sending it to like the author and being like, do you like it? Please don't hate me. And then for him to just come back, I think like he's like, whoa, wow, dude. And I was like, I love that I can make people lose their words. Anyway, he was really happy with it. So it was just like a very good, and he's like, I'm watching it again and I'm watching it back to back. And I was just like, oh, don't watch it too closely in case you find out that you hate something. But so far so good. It was too short. Yeah. Are you hoping Netflix, HBO, Amazon pick it up? Yeah, that is the goal. Obviously, there's a long way to go to that. It's a very big goal. It's a very big project. And the industry is its own beast. So that's the goal. That's what we want. But we'll just have to see. The animation from episode 1 was amazing. Now, the animation was one thing that I originally was hard sold on because I was like, I'm worried that going from animation to real action will be like mind blowing. Even though like the examples that I was given were like Game of Thrones. Sorry, that's a possum. Game of Thrones, I think the Children of the Forest or whatever in one of the later seasons. And so it took me a while to get on board. And that's just because I'm really bad at like visualizing pieces that aren't fitting together perfectly. And so I was really I wasn't on side completely with the animation to begin with. Obviously, we couldn't film a hanging scene because that would have taken up 90% of our budget. And then you just have one really cool hanging scene and then me in wigs playing every other character. And nobody wants that. So that's why we kind of opted for the animation over a real hanging. And we were so incredibly blessed to have George Brown do our animation and make it look as good as it does. Like, the amount of comments that we've just had like on the animation alone have been so incredible, and like just to know that it was done right and people liked it, as opposed to people being like, oh, like a bit weird. But the second that I saw the finished animation or even like the drafts, I knew that we weren't going to have a problem. Like I knew that people were going to be like, holy shit, this is amazing. And like I'm always a big advocate of like any book to film just being completely in animation. Just give me complete animation book to film adaptations because then we can have everything. But so having a bit of both, and kind of the fact that it was the flashback and it was that kind of catalyst for Mia's journey, it was kind of cool to have it in a different way that wasn't just specifically live action. So that was cool. How was it filming the sex scene? I mean, I assume as most actors who film sex scenes, like it's always interesting and weird. And I feel like the lead up to it is more, you get in your head a lot more and it's kind of like, I mean, for me, it was a lot of how am I going to look on screen? And you know, how are we gonna, it's usually a very clinical thing. And I was so lucky and blessed to work with Jamie, who was the sweet boy, whose beautiful, beautiful body you got to see. He was so lovely, and we got along really well, and it was really professional, and it was really amicable. And obviously, yeah, we had some jokes, because at that stage, when you're standing naked in front of someone, all you can really do is joke. So he was wonderful, and we had a closed set, which means it was literally only myself, Jamie, Genevieve, the director, Ben, the cinematographer, and the sound, and I think a makeup artist as well, just to be there on set for, like, you know, throwing a blanket over us when we weren't doing takes. So it was a closed set. It was incredibly professional. It was incredibly intimate. It was incredibly, it was comfortable. It was one of my, like, without sounding like a weirdo, it was one of my favorite scenes to film, because it was such a comfortable experience for something that is so nerve-wracking. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what more you can go into it. It's very clinical. Like, it's very much like, move your head this way and his head that way and your hand here and your lips here and do this like that. So there's nothing like romantic about it. So it's, yeah, at that point it's just work. No question, just wanted to give you support. Thank you, Nicole. I really appreciate that. And thank you. I like it as well. Look, it has its problems. Okay, thank you. That's okay. We will learn. What are you going to do to resolve the issues on the last one? I'm not quite sure what you speak about with the issues. I mean, as far as the comments have told me, the only issue that we had was it was too short, which we remedied, because this episode I'm pretty sure is longer. And if it's not longer, the next one is doubly as long. So that's how I fixed that. Mr. Kristoff must be proud. I can't speak for Jay, but from the messages he's been sending me over the last few days, I think he's pretty happy with it. And the fact that I was like, hey man, like, you know, if you don't want me to like keep going with this, just like tell me, so I don't like spend the next few years of my life trying to make this happen. And he's like, no, of course I want that. And I was like, okay, good. So having like the author of the work like the work and be happy with the work and be proud of the work is incredible, and it's weird, and it's not something that I think I'm ever going to get used to, but it's kind of amazing. What else? Artemis's debut role. Artemis's debut role was our VFX test for Mr. Kindly. She was our Mr. Kindly in the VFX test. We tried to use her for the show as well, but it ended up being easier / better for us to use. I actually don't know what Caleb used. Some magic VFX cap that he found and made, because it was easy to manipulate. I mean, Artemis was well trained, but it's just easier to have complete control over that. Oh, I've lost your messages. Hold up. There we go. 1 second. How did you do the effects with Mia and the shadows before her first kill? That's definitely more of a Caleb question, because I have no idea. All I did was just stand there in various places and do various things. So I think from my understanding, which is absolutely terrible, and Caleb, if you're there, feel free to tune in. So you shoot like a VFX plate, which I believe is just a complete plain set shot with like nothing, like no actors in it. Like it's just the background. And then you shoot, like, for example, the candle in the front. If you notice, when the lightning hits and Mia appears, the candle goes out. So that's shot separately and then layered on top. And then we do a shot of me being there, and then that's layered in as well. And they're all kind of tweaked and changed to kind of make it all come together. It's a long, hard process, and Caleb experienced many mental breakdowns. But we think it worked. And obviously trying to portray what's in the book on film it's a very different sort of vibe. So obviously in the book, it's more, the way I kind of described it when I started was in Harry Potter, when they're under the invisibility cloak, you know how they've got that kind of ripple on the world? That's kind of how I explained it. And we tried that, and that didn't work as well. And we tried a few other things, and that didn't work as well. And this was kind of the one we came to that was like, okay, believable, not overly distracting, not anything kind of too magically, bam, there she is. So it was kind of like we wanted it to be a little bit subtle. So it's kind of like, oh, because you're focused on Chris, the hangman, and then you see the lightning and you kind of see something over there and you're like, oh, what's that? And then you kind of have to go back and watch it. So that's kind of what we wanted. We wanted that kind of secrecy of like, it's not bam in your face. Of course you notice it. It's that kind of like subtle vibe. Thank you. New hair. I feel like I'll be getting that a lot. Being in class and watching the live show is epic. I feel like I want to say do your work, but as someone who was terrible in school for attention deficit reasons, I don't blame you. Welcome. Yeah, thank you for everyone who's either A, staying up late, B, watching it in class or at work, or someone who's supposed to be on night shift or something. I really appreciate that you're here, because in that first 24 hours is like when the big kick happens. So kind of getting as many views all at once as possible is prime. Like, my understanding of YouTube and its algorithms is like hazy at best, but that, from my understanding, is what we want. Episode 2 was amazing. Thank you. So some people have obviously seen episode 2 already. Please, no spoilers, because they supported us on our Kickstarter campaign. So they got roughly 24 hours early access. It's probably more like 12, because obviously it's our first time figuring it out as well. So some people have seen it. And again, 99.9% positive. I don't think I've seen a negative comment, which is really weird. And I'm just like waiting for the catch. And I'm sure they're out there, whether that's they're just not messaging, which is really nice because then I don't have to see it. But it's really good to get the messages, and it's good to kind of take the moment to reflect on the messages, because obviously being on the internet, people get the balls to say anything and everything, and most of it you can just take with a grain of salt. Like the negative comments, you can be like, oh yeah, it's subjective. You don't like me as Mia, that's fine. You don't like the costume, that's fine. You don't like the VFX, that's fine. There was this one guy who got really intense in the comments. Poor Genevieve, you told her how to do her job. And it's weird being mansplained to on the internet. And it just makes you think, well, when you achieve something great, maybe then we can have a conversation, which sounds really bad, but you know what I mean. And so it's weird to have to take a second back and appreciate all of the positivity that's coming from it, because you don't want to kind of get, oh yeah, positive comment, and they kind of don't sink in. So that's been a real problem for me, not problem for me, but something I've had to kind of learn, is to take the wins and to recognize that you've done something and you've made something that's kind of difficult. So that's really nice. I'm bad at this. Geordie was a fantastic casting choice. Geordie was one of the best casting choices. Geordie, we got so lucky with. I had no idea where I was going to find someone who looked like Trick in our immediate vicinity / in our budget range. And I had my eye on a few actors in Australia, and they kind of had the look, but I didn't quite get the vibe from their audition tape. And then a casting director in Queensland, Peter Rasmussen, sent me through like a bunch of actors that he thought might be my work in his like casting database. And I scrolled through and I found Geordie's picture. Geordie when he had short hair and kind of looked nothing really like he does now. And I was like, oh yeah, this guy could kind of work, but he's based in New Zealand. But I was like, you know what? He looks perfect for it. And Trick is one character that I don't want to skimp out on, because he's such a big part of the book and he's such an iconic character and he's such a specific look that I'm not just going to go cast like some hot white guy from Brisbane. I'm going to work hard to find the perfect Trick. And we did. And we got Geordie's tape and we spent a few days just like kind of talking about it and watching it and kind of going, oh, I love when he did this, or I love this moment. And then we got him on a Skype call and we kind of all bombarded him with our questions and our thoughts and our feelings. And he was really great. He was really, really lovely, really polite. And so obviously then we offered him the role and he was over the moon. And then he obviously had read the book in that time, because he was, as any good actor does when they do a book to film adaptation, is read the book. So he read the book. We obviously got to talking for a little while. Got to talking for a little while. And then, yeah, he came over. We picked him up, as you can see I think there's some vlogs floating around on my channel, whether it's the production diaries, whether it's my personal video of us kind of meeting for the first time and then having those, like, I think a week of rehearsals where it was more just kind of us, bonding, getting chemistry, like all those fancy actor terms. So that was really cool. We got along really well. We had many a laughing fits, and I love the kind of, not the comparison, but like Geordie is this like sunshine human ray of light who's just so positive and so happy and so just loving life. And I feel like at the time I was just this complete opposite black. I mean, I'm still enjoying myself, don't worry, but my personality is very different to his. And just watching that kind of us as people and then find Mia and Trick as characters and then their relationship, I found it really interesting. And hopefully in these next 2 episodes, you will see that and kind of see the chemistry and kind of see the friendship and that kind of budding interest that Mia and Trick have. So I'm very happy with Geordie as a casting choice. I did that myself with thanks to Peter, and people seem to be pretty happy with it. Most of the comments I've gotten about Geordie are just like, wow, it's like you pulled Trick straight out of the book. He's exactly what I imagined Trick to look like. And so that's been incredible. Who did the animation? So I mentioned it a bit earlier. Animation was done by George Brown. All of our links, or not all of our links, but all of our kind of names and stuff are in the credits below, in the credits at the end of the video. If you go to our IMDb page, which I think is also linked down below, there will be links to everyone's professional page, so you can kind of find everyone through there. Otherwise, on my Instagram, I've been kind of retweeting stuff that some of our cast and crew have been involved in. So if you want to look for them, you can kind of find them there. If it gets picked up, are you hoping to play Mia, or would you be okay with another actor playing the role? I mean, if it gets picked up, obviously I would love to play Mia. That's kind of why I made the whole thing, because I was like, ooh, I feel like that character is really me. I feel like that character. So obviously my first preference would be Mia. It depends on timing. I mean, Mia in the books is 16. I'm 26, so I'm 10 years older than her. But I think with this specific book, there's no real, she doesn't have to be 16, if that makes sense. So our Mia in the web series, we're going for like 18. Not that it is literally ever mentioned or matters. So, you know, as long as this doesn't get picked up in like 10 years and I'm like 30 something and definitely couldn't play like a young adult. But that's kind of the other thing about this specific role, is a lot of the comments I was getting was that I look too old for Mia, which is interesting because Geordie is the same age as me and Trick is the same age as Mia. So it's kind of like, it's interesting to see what kind of makes the cut of age. But also I think my biggest thing about it, and Jay's biggest thing that we were laughing about and people on the internet, is when you think about Mia being 16 years of age and the things that she does in the books, and the people who would rather see a 16-year-old or someone who looks 16 do those things, it's like a little sus. But also, you know, it's Hollywood, baby, in that terms of like, you will rarely get an actor who is the same age as a character. And 99.9% of the time, characters will be aged up, even just a little bit, whether that's for like, there's a bunch of reasons, whether it's acting based, performance based, whether it's like legalities about the actor being on set for an X amount of hours and it becomes a money thing. So it's just kind of, yeah, I mean, that's always going to be the case. And so hopefully with like makeup, I'll look a bit younger, but yeah. Otherwise, would I be okay with another actor playing the role? Yeah, I mean, if I couldn't for some reason, or I wasn't allowed to or able to, as long as that character like fully kind of gets that, where that actor fully kind of gets the character, because she is such a multi-layered character and she does go through such a change. One of the comments that I was shown was that they didn't like my performance because I had this smug look on my face the whole time, and I just remember thinking, like, I'm pretty sure Mia's described as smug throughout like most of the book. And then I was just like, does that mean I'm doing my job too well? So that's the thing about acting. It's like, it's completely subjective. So what you love, someone else might despise, and vice versa. And that's totally fine. I'm not sitting here crying about it. So, but I think would go more behind the scenes as well. Like, apart from just playing Mia, I've learned a lot through executive producing and through writing this series about kind of what other creative control I'd like to have in whether like a book to film adaptation itself or any kind of work. It's not, you're not just an actor. You don't come to work and just do your acting job, which would be great and it would take a lot of stress off my back. But it's also, you know, when I'm not acting, I'm executive producing. When I'm not executive producing, I'm writing, or I'm, you know, doing mood boards, or I'm, you know, overseeing things with my team and everything like that. So like I said, I learned a lot, and I learned a lot from my crew as well, people who have been in my position or who have done things that I haven't done before, learning from them as well. So I would love to, if, this got picked up, I would love to obviously be acting in it, but also like executive producing in a way that kind of, I have that sort of oversee of everything. And there, you know, there are some things that I don't understand. So I'm like, don't bother coming to me with like color grading because I don't understand it. There's someone better for that job. But just that sort of like, oh, these are the costumes. Like, this is why we did this color. Like in the animation, for example, it's the smallest thing, but I don't know if you noticed, but Francis Duomo, the priest, is wearing the Eye of R necklace. And you know, that's not specifically really stated anywhere, and it's not something that you probably would have missed if it wasn't there, but having it there was just like that little bit of like extra, unless you'd read the books or you'd thought about it like that, you wouldn't have necessarily gone, oh, we need to have that in there. Kind of like the flowers on the bed as well. It was just like a little embellishment sort of thing. I'm just going to take a sip of water because it's really hot here and I I'm talking a lot. I'm not used. Well, that's why I'm used to talking a lot. But I'm just going to flick through your questions as well. I want to see this wig version. What wig version, Genevieve? How would the hanging scene have cost more? So I'm not sure if you work in film, but there's a lot of moving parts to that, apart from like the amount of people that you would have to have, extras, paid cast, all of the safety things that go behind that, and the insurances that nobody gets hurt. The setting for that would have cost an arm and a leg. If you go on the animation, that's what we would have gone for. So you can see the ribs in the background, and obviously that would have been VFX, but it's just a really big thing. Any sort of big crowd scene is always going to be difficult because, you know, obviously the money for starters, everyone needs to be paid, but also there are so many different moving parts to it that time is money as well. So however, you know, long you're on set, you know, double that sort of thing. So it was never going to be something we could do just because we wouldn't have been able to afford it. I'm really loving that you guys are loving the animation. That means a lot. How does it feel that you're the canon face for live action Mia? That was my only goal going into this, was that people would look at me and think of Mia, or read the book and think of me as Mia. I'm only half kidding. Like, it's super cool and it's super weird, and it's only happened once before with another book character, but it's just one of those things that, like, I love. It's so strange. Like, I'm not sitting here like if somebody else is face cast as Mia, I'm not like, oh, well, that's me because I'm in the movie, because everyone obviously sees Mia completely differently. But it is kind of cool. Like, it is cool that people will associate me with that. So it's cool. What was the process like picking the key scenes to adapt, staying within your budget while still having the story make sense to people who haven't read the book? So as I mentioned last night, originally we scripted 10 episodes. So we scripted most of the book, and that obviously had to get cut for budget reasons. But in terms of this, we kind of looked at it as, obviously film and written word are completely different forms of media. Like, what you get in it, like, you know, an explanation of a place in a book might take a page and a half, whereas in a film you've got like 3 seconds, 10 seconds to show the same thing. So it's obviously a lot. It's different. And so in these 3 episodes specifically, we were more focusing on Mia's journey to the church. So ignoring everything that comes after that, how she gets to the church. And I mean, I kind of did my best to script it from a book, someone who's read the book, and then I'd pass it off to someone who hadn't read the book and would go, hey, does this make sense to you? And we kind of nutted it down to, this makes the most sense while staying true to the books, whilst not giving too much away. But our key audience was always going to be book fans. It was always going to be the people who have read the book and wanted to see more. So, and with everyone else, just like an added bonus. So the fact that, like, there are some people out there who haven't read the book who won't understand it completely, and that's fine. That's, you know, if you want to read the book to understand it, also cool. But if that's kind of all you've seen and you just want to go, oh yeah, like, cool, I don't get it, but that's also cool, that's okay too. Staying within the budget was obviously difficult. I mean, if you watch the production diaries, you will know that we struggled with budget from day one. Adapting a high fantasy novel in the middle of Australia is not easy, and I would not recommend it, but it can be done, as we have shown. So, yeah, just trying to, for example, the hanging scene, would have loved to have made that a live action, but because of budget and time restraints, couldn't. So how can we work around that animation scene? And so the kind of story through the 3 episodes, as we said, is Mia getting to the church. And obviously there's a bunch of stuff that happens in between the scenes that we have done, like the whole boat ride, the whole sandcracking thing. Obviously we couldn't do it, but if you kind of strip back the core, you've got Mia watching her parents die, or her father die, for example. Then you've got Mia saying goodbye to her mentor, who practically says, I've trained you for this reason, go here. So he's sending her off. And then in episode 2, you see her getting to that place. And then, I mean, without spoiling too much, then you see an obstacle or a hurdle, and then you see how that is handled / resolved in episode 2. And then in episode 3, you see the same sort of thing. And in episode 3, you'll notice that we did obviously had to take some liberties with I guess how they get to the church, because there's that big sand cracking scene in the middle that we just couldn't do. So hopefully, like, this will make sense. Obviously it would have been cooler to do that, but because of the time we had, we only were able to do so much. Whew, the costumes are so good. That's because Patrick Dutton, who has been my number one since year 10, which is literally 10 years ago, is a god. And Cassie, his assistant, was just, I can't even explain to you. You know when some people, like you just meet people who have a gift and they're just gifted and they're just good at stuff and it just blows you. Like Pat has been my costume designer for pretty much everything I've ever worked on. I mean, apart from like shitty things that don't count. But I would trust Patrick with my life. Like if I ever get rich and famous and end up on red carpets, he will be my costume stylist person, because I'll be like, Pat, I just want to look like an assassin every day. And he will go out and find me the coolest assassin garb possible. And we had really similar styles as well. So I was like, this is what I was thinking for Mia. And he's like, oh, sick, this is what I've got. And I was like, that's exactly what I meant, but better. So like, for example, his Mercurio was my favorite. His Mercurio and his Trick were my favorites. I've got pictures of them on my Instagram if you want to see them better. But seeing Peter Kent dressed in full Mercurio garb was just like a fangirl moment in my head where I was like, oh my God, that's Mercurio. And like, not even as me or as an actor, it's just me as a fan, as a fan of the book and a lover of the book, just going, oh my God, he's real. So that was weird. Same with Damien Garvey as Danio, who you're about to see and you're about to love, and I'm so excited to show you. Same sort of thing. Like, you see Damien Garvey out of costume and you're like, oh yeah, that's Damien Garvey. And then you see him in costume and you're like, holy shit, that's Fat Danio. I just pulled him from a book. So it was just between the casting and the costumes, I think it really helped bring those characters that you love to life. And obviously because it's a book and everyone sees it differently, hopefully we've hit the nail on the head with all of our cast. Jacob, if you could name one person who's been the most supportive during production and post, who would it be? Probably my cats, because they know every time I'm sad or frustrated how to make me feel better with a snuggle. Also you, sometimes. Mia's silhouette behind the curtain when the lightning struck. You saw it. It was there. I definitely just spat on my computer. But yeah, so obviously when the lightning goes, you see Mia, which I thought was, it's just really cool. I'm just really excited by that. Jacob, please. How long was the episode before it was edited? About the same. I think the only changes we've made were, so episode 2 that you're about to see was supposed to go until after the C-bomb conversation in episode 3. So when we meet Nave for the first time, that was supposed to be the end of episode 2. But we decided to cut it and shift it and move that to the end of episode 3. So that way episode 3 is like 11 minutes. So episode 3 is longer because it's like your big hype one. And it just made more sense narratively. Like it just, at the episode 2 felt like it was just too many conversations and not enough action. Whereas now it's 2 very poignant conversations of the book, 2 conversations in the book that are really, to me, like iconic. Obviously you've got Mia and Trick meeting for the first time, which is a big deal. But then I personally love the scene with Fat Danio, and people tried to get me to cut it, and I was like, no, because I love it. And it brings the comedy of, well, I think it brings the comedy. Jay said he thought it was pretty funny. I think he said, as the guy who wrote the jokes, that was fucking funny. So I like, that just made me laugh, like knowing that we did a good job, and Jay's like, oh yeah, cool. Yeah, so I thought they were 2 really important conversations, not just to the story, but also just because, like, they're fucking great. Can I just say I love your hair? Thank you, I appreciate it. I saw Geordie for the first time and was shook with how much he looked like how I pictured Trick. Yeah, we got really lucky. Thanks, Geordie, for having your face. Like, thank you to your parents for your genetics. Thank you to Brittany and Philip for his hair and makeup to make him Trick. Thank you to Pat and Cassie for his costumes for making him Trick. Thank you to me and Genevieve for molding him into your perfect Trick. I think that's honestly the thing most people are excited for, is just Trick. Imagine if I had Ash. Imagine if when I announce an Ashlyn, just gushing everywhere. Let's do a bad lip sync with you in character for every character with wigs. I'm not against that. That's what it would have been if we didn't get funding from Screen Australia. Just me in wigs. What would be my end goal after this? What would you like to come from it? So as I've kind of been saying from day one, is my whole, I'm laying in bed dreaming about, my big goals is like the replacement for Game of Thrones, essentially. Like 30 to 40 minute episodes, 3 to 5 seasons, the whole story, the whole book, with added stuff for like funsies, with Jay on board, with my dream cast, big production, like The Witcher sort of thing, big production. is the goal. So that's what we're working towards. It's hard and it's slow and it's very different if you've A, not done it before, B, are kind of a nobody from the middle of nowhere, and don't have, family in the business or whatever, but it's been done and it's doable. So that's why I'm not kind of like, oh, this dream is too big for me. Some days it feels too big for me, but other days I'm like, you know what? I have a feeling. I have a really good feeling. So that's what this is. This is kind of like I would call the Nevernight web series the trailer, or I'm calling it the proof of concept. So this eventually, once the 3 episodes have come out and we've kind of got the traction, I'm going to take these 3 episodes to bigger production companies. I'm going to take them to like Netflix, HBO, Stan, Amazon, Hulu, and be like, look at what we can do with no budget, minimal budget. Imagine if you gave us millions of dollars. Think about it. What a good business investment. Because that's essentially what it is. Like, they need to see that they would essentially make their money back and then some. So kind of packaging it in that way. Whew, I'm running out of air. Geordie is literally Trick and such a sweet person. Yeah, if you're not following Geordie on Instagram, I would recommend it just because he's so positive. Every day starts with like a daily affirmation. And if you know me, I'm the complete opposite. But it's really nice to have a person in your life who is that good at just positivity and happiness. Because every now and again I'll be like, oh, I'm having a bad day. And I'll scroll through Geordie's Instagram. I'm not going to scroll. I'm not like stalking Geordie's Instagram. But it'll pop up on my feed and I'll be like, you know what? Yeah. What am I complaining about? Today's all right. So if you need that extra like pizzazz, get on that. Oh, I just lost my screen. I can't believe you. Mia is badass. I think that makes you just as badass. I like to think I'm a bit of a badass, but I'm probably also like a marshmallow at heart, which Mia is kind of as well when you get down to it. Well, that's why I loved Mia so much. That's why I made the damn series, is because I really connected with this character and I thought her story was something that people would want to see. And a large part of it for me was Mia's sexuality. So Mia is bisexual. I am bisexual. And in the books that I have been reading, you don't see a lot of it. And you don't see a lot of it where they explore their sexuality in the way that Mia does, and the relationships that she forms and stuff. And so that, on top of the fact that she's just a snarky smartass, I was like, well, that's just me. So yeah, finding a character that, like, feeling represented is a really cool thing, and not everybody gets it. And so kind of being able to show that representation, and then hopefully this will pave the way for other opportunities to be able to do that, to represent other people and other kinds of people in media where they don't often see themselves. Mia was the biggest, smuggest protagonist you've ever seen. Yeah. You're perfect for me, and not just in appearance, but in attitude, especially with Mr. Kindly's appearance. If you were any younger, I'd be disturbed. You and me both. Imagine if I was 16 having sex on screen. It's weird. It's illegal. So, think about yourself. I'm just kidding. I'm being bitter. Does Jacob make an appearance? He does, actually. He is in episode 1 in the marketplace. He walks past just as me and Jamie and I think, step up the stairs. You can see like a white shirt. If you go through like my Instagram feed, you can see his full costume. It's terrible. He's got this like open neck shirt with like his chest hair, and he's got a gold chain, and he just looks like some weird ass pimp. But he's in it. Also saw my sisters, the 2 little kids running across at the start. My sisters. Oh, I keep losing it. Everybody calm down. Okay. Wait, okay. Oh, okay, there we go. Jacob's back does show up. Yep. Will I release the scripts for the 10 remaining episodes if they don't get made, Caleb? No, because I'm going to make them someday, and then I will release them. Also, no, because they're not polished. Like, you've read them. They're not completely finished. And plus, I aim to at least, like, if not make a TV show, at least film the rest of the book. So, hold me to that. But the sex scenes weird to film. They were more weird to rehearse when you're, like, fully dressed and, like, it's weird. And, Jamie and I had only met, I think, twice before the sex scene, so also weird. But as I said earlier, it was super comfortable. Like, he and I got along really well. We had great chemistry, which is what you want for a scene like that. And it was really professional, and it was handled really well. It was a closed set, and I personally never once felt uncomfortable. Yeah, so yes, it's always weird, but it was an enjoyable, weird experience. Thank you. Why am I doing a live stream? What makes you think people care? If you're doing this for the fame, sigh. I don't answer it, Piera. I'm doing this because most people requested it. Like I said earlier, most, like 99.9 of our comments have been positive. And so I'm more interested in catering to people who care about it and who love it and who want this to succeed than the few people who either don't understand it or don't care. And as your name says, you don't care about it. Not quite sure why you're here, but we appreciate that you are. Why can't we do a sand kraken? Caleb, why can't we do a sand kraken? Because that would be completely up to you. I haven't read the book, but I want to. Will it spoil anything? I mean, it'll only spoil the first 120 pages of the book. Yes, but no. The book is great. Feels like typical Aussies. I don't know one Australian who's in it for the fame. I'm okay, wait on. Oh, and you guys are already there for me. Thanks, guys. So I always pictured the opening scene at nighttime, but that was before I learned about the suns. Me too, because it's so difficult to imagine a world where there's no darkness, where it's just sunlight. And we did struggle with it throughout the series because we'd forget and we go, oh, what about this? And we're like, oh, fuck, it's daylight. Like, it's the middle of the day. So it's a weird sort of vibe. And obviously with the sex and the murder, it happens, literally she has sex first and then she goes and murders someone. So we kind of tried to environmentally enhance it by the storm coming in. So you can kind of hear the storm coming in at the beginning at the sex scene and everything like that. And then obviously it escalates during the murder. So that's kind of our way of going around the whole, it's just sunny all the time, but it does change. I'm no astrologist or whoever the hell deals with suns, but Jay does describe it in the books as the sun's rotation. Like, they're not all up at once and they're not all down at once. So it's always kind of like a weird afternoon sort of vibe. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. The lightning shot was epic. Wow. Okay. Any plans for season 2? Season 2, no. I think season 2 would be the rest of the 10 episodes that we wrote. Ideally, we'll just go straight to like a big full series. Okay. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Okay. Oh, and please don't argue on the comments. Like, that's super not necessary. Everyone needs to just calm the fuck down. How am I feeling after the heart attack? Good, I guess. I mean, as good as one can. I mean, right now I'm feeling a little like out of breath because I'm talking so much, but like, that's fine. Mostly good. Thank you for asking. Mia versus Aelin, who would win? Interesting. I don't know, probably Mia, because she's more ruthless. Aelin has different powers. Aelin is another book character. Probably Mia. If Mia and John met, would you see them hooking up? I don't know who you mean by John. If I wasn't playing Mia, who would I cast as Mia? I'm not sure. Probably, like, I would want to go with an unknown. I wouldn't want to put an actor who's already known for characters as Mia. Like, very much like they did with Harry Potter. Obviously not that young, but, you know, when you think of Daniel Radcliffe, you think Harry Potter. You think Emma Watson, you think Hermione, which, like, can be a pigeonhole for an actor, but I personally believe it, like, just really brings that extra oomph to it when it's someone you've never seen before and they nail it perfectly. But it would be someone who nails the character perfectly. So, okay. Woo, everyone needs to calm down. It makes me happy to think I convinced my sister 3 years ago to name her child Mia, and then I have a little Mia running around. Woof. How do you feel Mia's sexuality was handled in Dark Dawn? It felt a bit male gazy fetished. I don't really want to spoil Dark Dawn because some people haven't read it yet. I mean, I've always been a Trick fan regardless of the general sexuality. I've always been a lover of Trick. I love that a female-female relationship was handled in a book series. And personally, I think it wasn't terrible. I don't think it was bad. I mean, I personally really liked it. I don't like Ash as a character, but I liked what it was kind of going on for. And half of the reason I didn't like Ash as a character was, I think, because it didn't feel as emotionally intimate as Trick does, but don't want to get into it too much. Oh, now I've run away. Hold up. We're still fighting. Okay. No, everyone just ignore that guy. No one's thinking about that guy. What other books would I love to see adapted? So Red Rising, I believe, is being considered for shows, which I would love to see. That one I think would be hard and expensive, but I would love to see it. A Dark Shade of Magic is another one that's getting picked up. Strange the Dreamer would be cool, but I don't know how that would go with like the fact that everyone has blue skin. I mean, Avatar. So yeah, what am I talking about? The Poppy War, I would love to see. Seven Blades in Black by Sam Sykes would be cool. Interested to see Shadow and Bone. Really keen to see that. Would have like more of a Six of Crows fan than a Shadow and Bone fan. So interested to see how that's all smushed together. Thank you guys. Thank you. I noticed Alex Fitzallen in the cast list at the end of episode 1. How did that happen? So Alex Fitzallen is a friend of mine and also a very successful actor on Netflix's The Society. And we were just really lucky that he was in Brisbane at the time and was like, hey, you guys need extras? I don't mind. So he's in episode 1. You can't see him, but he's in there. Yeah, I've known Alex for a few years now. We met at an audition for a TV show I did in 2016, 2017. Yeah, just became friends through there. We made a few little short films that kind of didn't get released. And yeah, I think it was just through like the Brisbane acting industry is pretty small. And so obviously he got his kind of like break on The Get, which was a pilot. I'm not quite sure how far it went into, but then obviously The Society picked him up and that's really taken off. So he's just one of like the homegrown Brisbane boys that were all like, yay, Alex, like keep killing it. So we were really lucky to have him. That was cool. Thank you. The only thing I'm sad about is not getting Ash. Me too. But please note, I am working so hard on Saoirse Ronan being Ashlyn. Unless you have a better suggestion, I just love Saoirse Ronan. All right. Okay. I think the drama has subsided. Thank you, Jacob, for moderating that. I mean, that's what I mean. Sometimes people will come in and they will try and shit on your dreams and you just kind of got to be like, all right, bud, cool, and continue on. But I do really appreciate all the support that you guys were giving in the comments. Didn't need to, but I so appreciate it. It's nice to feel kind of stood up for. And also when you're kind of doing this sort of thing, you can't exactly be like, you know what, fuck you, dude, which you want to do, but you've got to put on that social face. How's my new pup? He's really good. He is, oh my God, where is he? He's asleep with Jacob. I lost him for a second there. He's doing really well. You do need to read Dark Dawn. Would love a spoilery Dark Dawn chat. I think I did a reading vlog, didn't I? I did some sort of Dark Dawn video. Otherwise, just message me. I'll talk about Dark Dawn. Oh, we're getting close. We're 10 minutes away from episode 2. I cannot believe I've managed to hold out for 48 minutes. Thank you for dealing with me, because I didn't, maybe not this time for next one. Are you going to do more after the 3? At this stage, there are no immediate plans to do anything else, but there are things in the works to keep doing stuff. If you ever got picked up by Nevernight or HBO, what scenes would you do from God's Grave and Dark Dawn? Bitch, I'd do the whole fucking book. If we got picked up by Netflix or HBO, I would be doing book 1, 2, and 3 from cover to cover. Like, you would be getting all of it, every single bit of it, because they've got that money. Do I have an ideal platform for Nevernight? I want to say HBO, just because of the stuff that they've got on there. I think Nevernight would kind of fit in that kind of, I forget what it's, I'm going to say regime, but that's not the word I'm after. That sort of list of shows. Netflix is also an option. over in Australia, like we don't like. I think Stan is our biggest. I don't think Stan is the right place for it, just because it's not really. There hasn't been shows like it before, which could work in your favor, but it could also not. So going with like HBO and Netflix, I think would give it the best chance. But it would also just depend on what they wanted to do with it, because I would be very reluctant to just hand it over if I had it to hand it over and be like, take control, because we've seen how that's gone before in book to film adaptations, and we don't want that happening with a book that we love. Oh God, okay. Calm down. Okay. You don't love Saoirse Ronan? Devastated. Thank you. I do have new hair. Wow, he's back. Okay. If I could play any character from any book apart from Mia, who would it be? I love Lila Bard from A Dark Shade of Magic. I love Sal the Cacophony from Seven Blades in Black. There's a bunch of characters that I love. Like, I'd love to play like Severo, but he's a dude. And they tried to make him a girl, and that didn't work. So Victra from Red Rising, but I mean, the size of me, it's not going to happen. What do you imagine Mia's dark powers like in the book? Honestly, kind of what we've done or tried to do with the film, more of like a shadow smoky thing than like a inky smoky thing, as opposed to like, like a shadow on the wall that is like literally nothing. I'm going more with like that sort of, my reference was always the Obscurial from Harry Potter. If you've seen the Obscurial in the Fantastic Beasts movies, how it's just kind of all inky and black. Obviously Mia doesn't look like that, but that's more her like summoning the dark and stuff like that, to me anyway. Thank you guys. I really appreciate all of the love. HBO for dark fantasy. Yeah. Look, I also don't want HBO to touch other fantasy series after God, but it's not necessarily HBO's fault so much as like the people involved. So I think if we have like a handle on it, we might be okay. We have 9 minutes. Shit. When did you decide you wanted to be an actor? I was a really lonely kid, and I read a lot of books, and I just thought, why not? You'd have to be ripped to play Mia in God's Grave. Mate, I know. What did you think I was doing at the gym when I had a heart attack? I was bulking for that reason. She also spends a lot of time in, like, if you play Assassin's Creed, Cassandra, in, like, the bra and, like, the undies thing, like the old Greek stuff. Mwah. Mwah. Mia looks like Newt Scamander. That is not what I said. Okay. Well, okay. What was Mia's outfit you'd love to wear? I mean, I kind of love all the ones that I got to wear. Yeah, shit. I mean, like, I'm not much of a dress person, but like the dress in book 1 at the ball, that'd be kind of cool. Least favorite YA adaptation? Maximum Ride. The costuming was fantastic. Patrick Dutton and Cassie as well have just absolutely nailed it. Does everyone have Aussie accents? No, I don't think anyone does. We all kind of went for like our own sort of, because obviously in Atreya and in like Ashka and in God's Grave, and everyone's kind of backgrounds are different, all the accents were kind of different. So mine was this weird, hopefully English-Australian fantasy hybrid, because obviously Mia was 10 when she kind of took to the street. So for those 10 years, she obviously would have been like schooled, proper, brought up with like proper grammar and tutors. And then she obviously went a little bit feral, hence like the swearing and the more like yobbo, not yobbo, but you know what I mean. Obviously Peter Kent has a brilliant accent. Ash, who plays Nave, kind of made up her accent. Geordie has his accent. Jamie is Spanish, so he's got his accent. Damien Garvey, I don't know what he does, but it's amazing. So no Aussie accents. No like, g'day mate, how you going? Unless you want that. How did you and Jacob meet? We met on a sex scene on a short film. Whoa! How come you never respond to my DMs? I probably haven't seen them. I've been getting a lot of messages over the last few days about Nevernight, so I haven't had a chance. What else? What do I think adaptation of the Star-Touched Queen? I haven't read the Star-Touched Queen. How do you feel about the blood pool? We nearly had the blood pool. Let me tell you, if we did the 10 episodes, we would have had the blood pool. Would I consider making merch to fund the series? Probably not. I mean, there's a lot of like legal stuff that goes on behind that as well. And Like, I don't think we'd sell enough merch to make much of a difference. It's more going to places to get the money, like getting funding. Okay, we're nearly done. Okay, quick. Let's be quick. Do you have any other recommendations for web series? The Maximum Ride web series. Don't watch it. The flesh weaving scene would be dope. It would be dope. Originally, when we had it kind of in the series, I was going to have like a busted up nose until then. Then I realized my nose is naturally pretty busted up. Most difficult thing about playing Mia? I think kind of keeping the accent throughout all the time. And also just like trying to not let the pressure of like playing such a beloved character scare me off. Hold up. What did I do for cigarettes? We use cigarettes, but they're herbal cigarettes, so they're not like tobacco or anything or nicotine. They're just like a bunch of crushed fruit, essentially. Nevernight, everything is the same. Mia talks in an Australian accent. Quickly on that, Jay being an Australian author, in Nevernight, I find the sentence structure incredibly Australian. So obviously, Australians and Americans, for example, have really different sentence structure. And that's why I was able to connect with Mia so quickly, is because the way she was saying things and how she was saying things, I was like, that's exactly how I would say it, or exactly how I would have heard it. So it's just like the nuance, and it's something really small. And I don't know if I've just made that up in my head, but that's another thing. Thank you. My dream location to film would just be Venice, just all of it in Italy. Best day on set, it's a tie between the first day where we shot the Red Church, which is literally the last scene in the whole episode, because it was seeing all these people come together to create this thing that I loved so much and just like lose my mind. So I cried a lot. Have I pranked anyone? Mate, you need to watch the production diaries. So it started when we started with the Grant down in Sydney. We were all out at dinner, and I convinced everyone that it was Dale's birthday. So we all sung to Dale and brought Dale a cake, and Dale is the quietest, most reserved person you'll ever meet. He's an angel. And then I did it again when we were filming like twice, and it's great because he never expects it, and you start hearing happy birth, and you just watch Dale wherever he is just like disappear. So that's one of the things I'm most proud of about this whole thing. But anyway, we are, 4 minutes away. We are 4 minutes away from me releasing it. And if you remember how this went last time, I had to just click post on all of the things. So you'll have to bear with me again. You'll all disappear as soon as I post it, and that's totally cool. But I will be doing another live stream in a few days for the final episode. We can obviously talk about this episode. We can talk about the first episode. We can talk about other stuff like you've been talking about. I will post on my social medias what time it'll be starting, because I don't know if I can do the hour again. We might go like 45 minutes, but we'll see. We'll suss it out. Would I prank Jay Kristoff? The fact that I'm living my life right now is a huge prank on Jay Kristoff, because it blows my mind. Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'm just going to release it now then, because we've got like 30 minutes. Oh, not 30 minutes. Wow. Piera, go to sleep. 3 minutes. Okay. I'm going to start posting. So bear with me as I make Nevernight live. So first of all, I'm going to go to my YouTube channel, and I'm going to, I should have had like 4 other computers going at this time. All right. So I'm about to make it live, and then I will post the link here so you can just click on it and run away. So that's it. It's now live. Please enjoy Nevernight episode 2, Hopeless. Otherwise, I will see you guys hopefully at the next live stream. Not if you're that wanker. If you're that wanker, don't show up. But yeah, now I'm just posting on all various forms of social media this. So here I go. Please enjoy. See ya. Talk to you guys next time. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.